Hello and welcome back to another video by yours truly. I got to think of another intro, but it is what it is. So this is just a bit of an update video on this pottery series. This piece I showed in my last video before I went in for a fire, and it turned out really, really nice. Different to what I expected, but I really like it. So in certain areas, the actual copper carbonate is kind of bled through out of the kind of crease where I initially painted it. So it's kind of like a acknowledgement for next time that I need to kind of be a bit more conservative with how much I apply. But I really, really like how it interacts with the white dolomite, which is the kind of beige color over on the top of it. It kind of gives like this really nice crackled effect. And it just highlights all these different tones of green, blue, teal, and like even like the kind of freckles of ochre that are coming through that you can see there at the top. I really like it, and I'm definitely going to try and experiment and use this more. This is just a few other pieces where I've just kind of dipped in the white dolomite. I showed this in the last video as well. These are supposed to be like lids for like cups, just to kind of keep like a hot drink warm and stuff, but I didn't have a chance to finish the bottom of them. You can see I did try to with this one, but you can see how bent it is. Well, I say try, in all honesty I didn't have enough time to actually carve out more of an indentation and make it deeper, but yeah, I'm happy with the kind of the kind of subtle green and ochre effect in the kind of crease of the carvings that I've made, and those like holes that I've done as well. This is another piece that I'm working on. It's a vessel which is going to be a kind of odd shaped vessel, even though it looks kind of straight there, and I'm just kind of cutting up all the slabs for it. I didn't really get much beyond cutting up the slabs in this pottery session, so I'm going to have to wrap it up in plastic and take it home and work on it at a later date. One thing to remember when you're cutting slabs, if you're not aware, is that you shouldn't just cut it all the way through from the top of the clay to the bottom. You've got to kind of score it in like 2 or 3 motions to kind of get to the bottom. So you can see there that I've done one, which is to kind of do the rough line, and then I'll go back and do it again until I've cut all the way through, and that prevents the clay from just kind of moving too suddenly aside. It is better when the clay is a bit harder when you want to cut it. So normally what you should do is, if you're using fresh clay, you should kind of you should roll it out and let it rest for even up to an hour or so before you start cutting it, because it will kind of prevent the clay from having too much movement from the actual cut itself. That's what you want to avoid. But what I usually do, I kind of try and find a happy medium, and I'll start cutting it, and then I'll let it rest until it's stiff enough to start working with and fixing together. So I'm just kind of rolling it out. And I think for some reason, with the amount of clay that I had left and the actual shapes that I had to roll it out and then knead the clay back together and then do it again, because I hadn't got enough of it, which is really kind of annoying. But at the same time, it's actually a good thing to do in what I'm describing, because kneading the clay up again after you've rolled it just hardens it. So a process where you let it dry for like an hour or so gets cut in half. I mean, it still wasn't quick enough for me to actually start working with it, so just ignore everything I just said. But anyway, it worked well. It did kind of harden up a little bit, so I will be able to kind of work on it a bit sooner when I do eventually start working on it. Look at this. Wait for this shot coming up. I am really impressed with how I did this. Look at this. Oh, look at that. That is a cameraman at work. Even though the cut's not really straight, but I'm happy with it. As you can see, I've already done a cut already. I'm just going back over it again. And this is like the final cut before I can move the unwanted bit of clay. So those are the two bigger sides. What I did after this is I kind of wrapped it in some cellophane plastic. So for the remainder of this session, I had about 40 minutes left, and I thought, you know what, let me just do a pinch pot. So I was filming with the camera in my left hand and obviously doing the pinch pot with my right hand, and my thumb was caning by the end of this shot. And I was only doing this for like 2-3 minutes. And throughout the whole thing, the only thing I was thinking of was something that my wife repeatedly says to me, which is, you know, with all this pottery stuff you're doing, you better not complain to me that your hands are too much in pain that you can't like give me a massage. You know, you better know what your priorities are. And I just kept on thinking about that throughout this, and man, it made me laugh. So the idea with the pinch pot is that when you're pressing it with your kind of index and thumb, or ring finger and thumb, you kind of push the clay so that you can't push it anymore, but you're doing that gently throughout the whole kind of pot, so it's kind of even by the end of it. So you can kind of see how I'm not slowly, but I'm just like doing these small pinches and then just moving it. And the idea is that after you've been doing that for some time, it should kind of even out, so you won't really see so much of the kind of the presses of the finger. It should be a lot more even. And this is actually relatively quick and easy to do. Like, you can do a pinch pot within like about 10 to 15 minutes. You know, you can take breaks in between, obviously, but you can kind of get it to like a good place and just kind of use a sponge or something to even out other areas. So you can see that bottom bit, which has just been pressed out, is kind of like a triangular shape there. It's just kind of naturally occurred that way based on the presses, and you can kind of leave those in there if you want, or you can kind of even it out as you please. That's my initial there, the V and the C, in case you're wondering. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Sorry, I need to work on my outros as well.